Welcome to Agoracom Small Cap TV, our best of the best weekly show. This is our weekly show where we put together the best picks that Alan Berry, our chief market commentator, has made throughout the week in his daily show, which you should be watching fast and quick every morning on the front page of Agoracom. I'm George Cholis, the founder, and with us again, our chief market commentator, Alan Berry. Alan, say hello to everyone at home.
Hello, everyone. Just wanted to bring you up to speed. With the last couple of weeks, George and I have had some scheduling conflicts, so we missed the last couple of weeks. So I've kind of used a couple of weeks worth of shows for the picks today. So it's kind of the best of the best, couple of weeks worth of picks. But we'll go with the usual name of the show. And anyway, so we got a bunch of good picks for you, and we'll get right to it.
Yeah, before I get to it, I want to wish my twin boys, Billy and Georgie, a happy birthday. It was their birthday yesterday, so I know to give them a kick. I'd have met you today. And let's get down to business. All right, so we've got a number of picks, a lot of things going out there. Gold has gone on a bit of a run one way. The major markets have gone a bit of a run the other way, and yet we're seeing some surprising moves in the resources space. We're going to talk about these with Alan. First one, Nevada Sunrise. Alan called it somewhere around 90, 95 cents. I called it at 80 cents when I said wait a bit because I thought there'd be some weakness. We were both bang on. Trading at $1.30 now. TSX Venture NEV does an average of just over 100,000 shares a day. Alan, talk to us about Nevada Sunrise. Give us the fundamentals first and where you think this is going.
Well, first of all, you mentioned something very important there, George, at the start about, that even though the market is very difficult right now for gold-related and mining-related stocks, you can still find good quality picks in a bad market, but that's where I think we separate ourselves, the wheat from the chaff, in that, we know the right things to look for even in a bad market. And I do think that gold is getting pretty oversold here. So I'm happy to be finding companies like Nevada Sunrise, and I think that Nevada Sunrise and their discovery, the fact that they perform so well in such a tough market, speaks volumes about this project. I'm going to get to their chart right now. Earlier this week, they had some results out from their discovery down in Nevada, and they hit another great batch of holes. And that's why you see on the stock chart, George, that just recently, just in the last couple of days, it spiked up quite nicely.
You're talking about 101. You're talking about, I can see it right here in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trading days, gone from low ones, 105 area, right over 130. Nice move.
Yeah, actually got up to, I think, $1.45 for a few trades there. And this is really where it all started back here, George, when I talked about, we started following Nevada Sunrise and their partner, Pilot Gold. Now, I like Nevada Sunrise, even though they're a minority partner in the project. Their chart is more bullish to me, and that's kind of incongruent, but, I got to go with my indicators, and my indicators tell me Nevada Sunrise stock is going to perform better than Pilot Gold right now.
So let me ask you a question. You recommending you picked this in the 90, 95 cent range. I picked this in the 80 cent range. I know what I'd be doing right now. I'm taking minimum half my profits off the table right now, ASAP, and setting a stop on the rest of it somewhere in the $1.15 range. What are you doing with your past pick first before we can talk about your next move?
I'm letting it ride, George. They're in the heart of their drilling season. They're going to have lots of news out in the coming months. This is an exceptional discovery, and I think it's even more telling that while things are challenged here in the gold market, look at this stock chart. This chart has done all of this that I'm circling here.
Yeah.
While the market has been very brutal for gold stocks.
Yep, and the downward trend gold.
Yeah, what I think you're seeing there, George, is just an indication of how significant what they have found down in Nevada is. It's right on one of the major trends, and they're hitting lots of high-grade gold in their drilling.
So would you're making a new pick here at this level at $1.30, or when you covered it on the show, a couple of days ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, a couple days ago would have been the ideal time to buy it, but I'm, sure, okay, let it fall down, let it come back. You'll probably get it at a $1.20, $1.15, $1.20 range in the next few days. I just think that this is one of those special situations that don't come around very often, George, of a major discovery that's in its early days of discovery, and we've been following it all over the place, and I think it's still just, it's really, really early in the emergence of this discovery and these two companies that own it.
Okay. And so you got my views there. I wouldn't be a buyer here. Sure, I wouldn't be a buyer here. Short, yeah, we're not talking about. To be clear for everyone at home too, Alan usually talks more in terms of long-term, 1 and 2 years, which is awesome because that's the way. And I'm always taking the trading mentality. So me, I'm in the low 80s. I'm taking half a profit right now because it's only been, a month and a half or a couple of months at most or something like that. That's what I'm doing. And what Alan's telling you is it's not too late. But here, Alan, if I can mention to everybody, this is why watching the Daily Show is so important because that's where his pick was made the morning of the news when it came out, and you can see what's happened over the last 5 days. And it's such a big advantage to be watching the Daily Show. So, Alan, great job all the way around on Nevada Sunrise.
Yeah, George, and getting back to what you said there, for a short-term trader, you've gone from 80, 90 cents up to $1.30-ish. Of course, you should take some profits, and just in case it comes down. For me, this is one of those plays that I think is shaping up to be a future takeover, and I think we're still just in the early stages. And I've done this before, George, where I walk them right up to the point where they are taken over in my coverage, and that's what I think we have here with Nevada Sunrise and Pilot Gold, is early days of a new discovery, and we'll be walking it out. What I mean by walking it out is as they get more results from there, we're going to have more and more to talk about and keep the people informed of what I think is one of the best discoveries in Nevada in a long time.
All right, big words, and Alan knows his stuff. Next up, Denison Mines, DML, trades on the TSX big board. $1.28, trades about 700,000 shares a day, great liquidity, that's what I look for. It's definitely been really volatile. I remember one of our friends, Hedgehog Trader, on Agoracom on Twitter, mentioned this as a buy back in the $1.20 range earlier this year. Made a great run up into the $1.90, pretty much $1.95, and now right back down to $1.28. Alan, you think it's going to go round trip and go right back up?
Yeah, George, just after you finished highlighting that most of my picks are longer term, which they always are, I just happened to come up with a short-term pick for you here, George.
All right.
And that totally wasn't set up, folks, so it was just accidental. Yeah, George, this one has a lot of stock out. They've got, I think, close to 500 million shares out. They're a producer of uranium. They're a bigger company. They've got this great discovery called Wheeler River, and I wish it was in a junior, with 50 million shares out or so, because everybody would be hearing about this Wheeler River discovery. High-grade uranium, lots of it. I really like the discovery, but unfortunately it's in a company that it kind of doesn't get full value for that discovery. But I think we've got a good combination here of some more drill results to come out. And on a short-term basis, look at this double bottom here, George. You had a bottom at $1.20, came off that bottom, gave back the gains, little tiny bit higher. It looks to me like the MACD is starting to turn around. As it's been getting to these lower levels, it seems that the volume is drying up, so I think the selling pressure is coming to an end for this company. I like that the MACD is looking like it starts to want to trend to the positive side. This is one that I think you could play for a short-term pop, maybe of 20% or so in a very short period of time, and then get out of it completely. That's the kind of play here. So I just wrecked my long-term image of.
And that's fine. What I'm seeing here is this convergence. So take a look here, folks. Look at all these. Okay, so forget about all the converging lines. You can see it right here in these boxes: $1.24, $1.28, $1.30, $1.35. I won't go through every single moving averaging, but they're all converging here. Even the bands, the Bollinger Bands, okay, are at $1.24 and $1.36. That is super, super tight. You'll go back to March. The Bollinger Bands were at $1.20 on the low side and $1.90 on the high side. Look at that gap. So it is so tightly wound right now that this is potentially could explode. So I like this pick that Alan's making. I would set a stop loss of $1.19 because that tells me it's broken through the Bollinger Band support below with some authority, and I wouldn't want to be a part of it. But I'd make this move here and see if it absolutely snaps through. And remember, guys, this went on a nice run just earlier this year. Look at it; it was up at $2. It hasn't spent a whole lot of time down in this level here. And when it has, it's shown a propensity to have great moves. So on a risk-reward basis, I think you're seeing a 4-to-1 risk-reward in your favor. I like it as a short-term pick. $1.19 is where I set my stop loss.
So when you say 4-to-1, George, you mean you think there's a 40-cent upside compared to maybe a 10-cent downside?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why I'm looking to set a stop loss at 10 cents below. It's $1.28, set at about $1.19. But I think this get to $1.70, not without too much difficulty because of the runs it's shown it can make. So I like those odds. And it doesn't have to get to $1.70, get to $1.35, $1.40. But it's so tightly wound. I like tightly wound situations like that. And I'm bullish uranium. So I think that hey, you never know. Denison might be a takeover on its own. Now going from mines to technology, BlackBerry. So
Yeah.
as a lot of you know, so let me bring up that BlackBerry. Am I on screen share here? Because I'm working out of my.
I'm gonna not yet. I'm gonna pull up the American one too.
Yeah.
I've got the American one.
So I went on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, made a call. I went long BlackBerry at 740 and change. It's at 766 today.
Hey George, your screen share is still not on, buddy.
Yeah. So I was glad it wasn't because I wanted to make sure I wasn't looking at Denison. I actually took it off for that reason.
Okay.
So BlackBerry is trading at 766 now. I love it here. I think the risk reward is fantastic. I think they got a chance. I think people are mobile, exhausted. They've gone out. They've had these experiments with these other smartphones. And I made about 18 months ago, maybe a little less. I went online and I said, BlackBerry lost that round because they were too late to the table, and everyone who had been waiting finally got exhausted, including me. All right, there's my Nokia. I got exhausted, couldn't wait for BlackBerry anymore, and it went away. And I said, if they're going to make their run, it's going to be as they're coming into this renewal stage. Because so I've had this for a little while. A lot of people had them for a little bit longer because they weren't as patient. But now you get to the point where they can start getting some people back. If they haven't been thrilled with the ride, and BlackBerry's got a pretty good offering, and they do. So I think BlackBerry's got a really good chance. I mean, this could be one of those stories that forget about short-term trades. BlackBerry the next 2 years could be a $30, $40 stock,
Exactly.
in the blink of an eye. And the risk reward on this one is outrageous. Okay, I'd set a stop loss of $6 on it on the U.S. side, and let it go. Otherwise, in other words, I'm only out if it goes through $6 US, or if it gets to $25, $30 or something like that, because I think this has a chance. And Alan, you like it on the Canadian side, so tell us about that.
Well, I've got the American. I'm going to pull up the American chart, George, but just a little more to what you were talking about there. I over the years, I followed technology very, very closely for as long as I've followed the mining sector. So I'm going on 25 years or so now. And, every once in a while I come across a tech turnaround play that really gets my juices flowing, that I think that this is the next one that's going to be a phenomenal pick. And BlackBerry, I think, has that potential. One of those past picks was back in the 90s. I was banging the drum about IBM, This was when Lou Gerstner joined the team. Stock was trading at about $60 a share, and I just liked what I heard from Lou Gerstner about his plans. Now, anytime you're looking for a big tech turnaround, one of the key elements is to have a management shakeup. In the case of Lou Gerstner in the mid-90s, he was the key that you could see he had a different plan. For BlackBerry, they've got Chen, I forget his first name, Josh Chen, or, geez, I wish I could remember his name.
That's okay. The new guy who's got a real plan. He sees that, yeah, they're gonna try and compete in the hardware. They're not gonna let it go, but they're really gonna beat down on the software side, which everyone agrees is a smart way to go.
You know, and that's why I used IBM, not only because I had made a past pick of it, and it turned out to be a phenomenal winner where it went up. What does IBM trade at today, George, compared to 96? I mean, back in 96, they had 2 or 3 stock splits, and IBM's now, you see, that's the kind of performance when one of these tech stocks turns around of what you can see. And IBM, what made them their turnaround so significant was they wound down their hardware business, and they wound up their enterprise business,
services and software
services, exactly. And that is the same similar plan. Now, I don't think that BlackBerry does themselves any justice by getting rid of the hardware business, but I think they really put themselves in an advantage to be more focused on the software and solutions, because on software and solutions, more and more it's becoming, people are going to become, and you're going to hear this more in the future, fearful of security, of the NSA looking at all their data, of Google mining all their data, and how secure is their data. And when it comes to that, BlackBerry has a distinct advantage with enterprise. And that's why I think that BlackBerry is going to be a big turnaround. And that's why I'm picking it so hard right now, is I think it's going to be one of those big tech turnaround stories that really shocks the market in the coming years.
And I'll add this, and then we'll move on to the next one, which is a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people have never heard of QNX. QNX software that's owned by BlackBerry powers a lot of cars and a lot of the Internet of Things that you hear. It's one of the top-rated pieces of software out there. And as all things go digital, they have a chance to take that over, and they could be a real player in that space. So they've got 2 fronts, on the handsets, on the mobile side, and on the Internet of Things, even though I hate that term. But the whole Internet of Things, where your thermostat talks to your panel, which talks to your refrigerator and all that, it's QNX.
You know what I call it, George? The Jetsons life.
There, you know what? I'd rather call it that, the Jetsons. You know, so they're the software that's powering the Jetsons life, and that's why I think BlackBerry is poised. I love the odds, man, and I missed it with Apple. I missed it with IBM. I don't want to miss it with BlackBerry, one of those massive tech turnarounds, and this is it. So you and I are in full agreement, and everyone knows at home this ain't no love then. If I don't like your pick, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. So let's move on to the next one. Fission Uranium, which has been a big favorite of yours, a favorite of mine, but I've been very cautious at the higher prices, and they turned out to be right. Even though I've got a core holding at $1.60 that I said I was going to hold for the next 2-3 years, and I don't do that very often. But as a trader, I don't have any positions on, and I've been watching closely. Talk to me about Fission and what you're seeing right now that's different from what you've seen before.
Yeah, actually, you know, George, we sure are starting to think alike, because that's exactly why I picked it today, is because I do see something different than before. And what I see different than before, George, is, you know how bullish I am on their Discovery. I've been banging the desk on this Discovery since it was like 60 cents a share, this stock. And I think it's going to be the next big takeover in the Saskatchewan uranium field. Now, what I'm seeing in the stock chart, and I know people might think I'm a little bit crazy on this call, but look at this I've got my chart up there, don't I, George? Oh, sorry, I haven't
No, it was you.
screen shared yet.
I'm not sure if I'm still being taped, but it looks like we lost Alan there. Wait, see if we can get him back. Testing 1, 2. So it looks like my video is still going through. Hold on, folks. There's Alan.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Alan. I'm still taping on my side here, but it looks like you froze out.
Yeah, we're still taping on your side?
I believe so because I see it's live and I see the audio still playing on my side. So I'm not sure. Was it tape? Well, you're taping, so is it still receiving on your end?
Well, I'll tell you what. Just invite me again, okay?
All right, Alan.
Pick it up.
All right, I'll invite you, and then if you don't come in, then what I'll do is I'll just finish it off by listing the picks.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right, folks. In case it's still taping and we haven't frozen out, we have a technical glitch on Alan's side, so I'm going to try and bring him back in if possible. It looks like he's coming back in. All right, so just in case Alan can't come back in, I'm going to finish this off here. So we were talking about fission uranium, and I've got a screen share on here that you should be able to see. I'm still not crazy about fission uranium. I just don't like its action. I would want to cherry pick this. You see how it gets down to the 110, 115 area. That's where I'd be a buyer. I'm not overly thrilled about buying it here. Mind you, it is showing some pretty good support on this 20-day, but that's not enough for me. So I know Alan loves it long term. We'll move on to the other picks now. Premier Gold, TSX, E is a stock symbol. 220 is where it closed out on Friday. 577,000 shares traded on average every day. It's in breakout mode right now. I'm going to go into my advanced settings and take a look here. In fact, I'll do a screen share so you're always looking at my chart from here on in. There's no point looking at me. All right, so Premier Gold's made a nice run from the low, mid 190s up to 220 here. It's testing its resistance at the top of this band. I wouldn't be a buyer unless it broke through significantly and went through 230 or something. Otherwise, I'd probably be sitting on the sidelines. Next up is Klondex Mines, TSX, $1.87, and I'll put my screen share on there for you as well. All right, $1.87, 56,000 shares traded on Friday, just under 100,000, so the liquidity is pretty good. Take a look at the advanced. Not seeing a whole lot here that makes me want to buy this. I do see the potential of it turning upwards here. I'm not overly excited about it right now, especially because it's skirted. Look at this. It has a tendency to skirt at the bottom of its band here, and it looks like it's kind of removed itself and thrown itself into the mix. So I'm not a buyer there. BSM Technologies, I went online just about 8-9 days ago. I was a big buyer at 204. I'm holding out for 240. That's a TSX venture company trading on the stock symbol GPS. Has a great history of bouncing up into the 250, 260 range. In fact, it did 224 right after my buy that same day. Here's the advanced chart for everybody so that you can see it. Let me get here. Right, so you can see here that it's really trading below its average. You can be patient. I don't think you need to chase it. If you want to be patient, wait for 207, 208, 209. But again, tightly wound right here in this 228 to 235 and 237. It's like a log jam in there. It gets through that, and it's got 265, 270 written through it all over again. I like the risk reward. I wouldn't sell this unless it broke through $1.90. So I'm liking it at this level, and I wouldn't be afraid to buy it here. Next up, Fortuna Silver. That's one of Alan's pick. FVI 450 close on the TSX. Trades an average of 220,000 shares a day. I'll bring up Fortuna's chart here before I even bring it up. Share it with you guys. It's definitely in breakout mode. All right, so I'll bring this up for people to see. All right, so Fortuna's breaking out because look, here's that log jam again. There's a whole log jam of moving averages right here. You can see all the colors converging.